Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking to you about how you can have better clarity, and I'm also going to be sharing the story of the invisible poisonous spiders, so stay tuned. I'm Emily Goldthwait. I'm an author and energy healer, and I help people have powerful self-awareness, deep self-compassion, and expanded understanding. Today we're going to be talking all about clarity and why it's so helpful to have good self-clarity. The main reason why it's important to have self-clarity is because you can't affect the outcome of a game that you don't know you're playing. So when you don't have good self-clarity, you don't understand why you're getting results different than what you hoped or expected. And the first step in having really good clarity is to get very, very honest with yourself. You're going to want to get honest with yourself about your motives and what you're really up to and why. So sometimes we do actions and different things out here, and we tell ourselves we're doing it for one reason, but really we have like a secret private reason that maybe we haven't admitted it or acknowledged to ourselves. And so that's not being honest with ourselves. So when you are hiding your motive or hiding what you're really up to, then you're going to have a very adverse reaction if things don't go your way, because you weren't anticipating that that could be one of the outcomes. You didn't see it coming because you didn't see what you were actually doing. So one of the ways you can tell if you're not being fully honest with yourself, or at least something that can kind of signal you to stop and look, is to take a look when you have like an outcome that is negative that maybe wasn't what you were hoping for or expecting. Take a look and stop and ask yourself, why am I angry? Why am I upset? Why am I offended? How did I think that would go? What did I think the outcome would be versus what it actually was? And why am I having this reaction to that alternate ending to what I was hoping the story would be? So a couple years back, one of my kids was having a really hard time. They felt like nobody liked them and that everyone hated them, and they always were trying to do nice things for people, and people were just being very mean and unappreciative of the nice efforts this child was making. And there were a lot of things going on in their life at that time. But I started to take note of this particular child when they were in the home environment, and just trying to see what was going on. Were they really being excluded or being picked on? What was the challenge here that was happening? And so as I started observing this child's behavior, I started realizing a lot of the blow-ups would come when this child would offer, say their siblings were drawing something, and they would be like, hey, I could help you draw that. Or, hey, you're making that. How about you do it this way? Or how about I help you with this? Or would you like me to make that for you? And the other children would decline the offer most of the time. And when they would decline, this child would get a little bit more pushy, I guess you could say, about the offer. Like, please, how about you just let me help you? Here, I just want to help you. Let me help you do that. So as the mom and, being pretty familiar with my kids, I can see what's going on here, that the child is just trying to take over what they're doing and has in their own mind how they would like to see it go. And so they want to kind of take over this other child's project to finish it for them. So when these other children would be like, no, thank you, this child would get increasingly pushy and aggressive about their offer. More and more upset would start to build as the refusals came, until pretty soon this child would kind of just explode and leave the room in a huff of I was just trying to be nice and you totally were rude to me, and all I was trying to do was help you, and fine, I guess I won't help you, and all this, very, very upset that their offer of help had not been accepted. So I saw that there was a little bit of a disconnect between what the child told themselves they were doing versus what they were actually doing. And I was trying to figure out how to teach this concept to an 8-year-old. And so without, blaming, shaming, or any of that, just here's how you can see yourself better so that you're not so hurt all the time. Because this child was getting very, very down on themselves, that nobody liked what they tried to do for them, that nobody accepted their niceness. And so I wanted this child to continue to want to help and be nice, but to recognize when they were actually helping and being nice and when they were actually being manipulative or attempting to take over somebody's project. So I pulled this child aside and I came up with this allegory of the invisible poisonous spiders. Now, I'm telling you right now, this did not come out smoothly. As I am saying this to this child, they're giving me more and more weird looks like, what are you talking about? So let me tell you how this goes. So you are giving a gift to somebody, and you say, here, I have this gift for you. but you actually have all these little invisible poisonous spiders on yourself. And when you give this gift, you secretly place one on this gift and you give it to them because you actually are trying to get these spiders off of you, or there's something you want to do with these spiders and you want them to actually get the spider. So instead of it being a gift, you're actually hiding an invisible poisonous spider on it. Now you give it to them and they notice that there's a spider on it. And so they drop the gift, they give it back, or they refuse it and say, no, I don't want that. And you start saying, no, I want you to have this gift, take this gift. And they're like, no, I don't want that. It's got this invisible poisonous spider on it. And you go, no, it doesn't. It's a really nice gift. Just take it. And they won't take it. And pretty soon by the end of the conversation, you're very angry because they wouldn't take your gift, but they weren't refusing the gift. They were refusing the invisible poisonous spider that you put on it. And so that they aren't trying to be mean and they aren't trying to be rude to you. They just don't want the poisonous part of this gift that you're trying to put on them. And if you look at it that way, what you're doing actually isn't trying to be nice. You're actually trying to do something that's not very nice and kind of mean by taking over what they're doing and putting this invisible poisonous spider on something that you're saying is actually very nice. And then you're feeling hurt and offended that they don't want your gift when it has nothing to do with the gift you're trying to give them. It has to do with the invisible poisonous spider that you hid on it and that now you're denying to yourself you did that and put it there. So like, even saying this now, I'm like, this is so convoluted. And this child looked at me and they were like, Mom, what are you talking about? What do you mean spiders? There's no spiders. I don't understand. And I was like, oh, great. Like I just wasted my breath and like this didn't land right. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know how else to explain this, but like, what you're trying to do isn't as nice as you think it is. You're actually trying to take it over and they don't want that part of what you're doing. And they were like, no, I'm not. Like, and so anyways, like, okay, we'll pick this up later. So this child came home from school a few days later. I'm like, hey, how did school go? And he's like, it went good. He's like, Mom, I put an invisible poisonous spider on something at school. And I'm like, huh? Wait, what? Did we understand this concept? Or like, are we talking about real spiders? What are we talking about? And so this child is like, one of my classmates was trying to draw something and I offered to take over the drawing for them and finish it. And they didn't want it. And I started to get angry. And then I realized that I was just wanting to do it myself. And that I wasn't actually trying to help them, I was trying to do it for them. And I realized that was an invisible poisonous spider. And so I stopped asking if they wanted me to do it for them. And can I just tell you, like, I was happy and celebrating, like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how that at all worked, but apparently it did. And so I was like, wow, good job. You totally did that. Like, and I was like, how do you feel? And he's like, I feel better. I feel less sad and less upset. And so over the years, this child has continued to reference like, oh, I put a spider on that. Like there's an invisible poisonous spider on that. And so, so that's my story of the invisible poisonous spiders, is that sometimes when we are doing something, we might tell ourselves, oh, I'm just being really nice and I'm bringing these cookies to these people to be nice, and maybe they take them and they don't say thank you. And then I'm angry because they didn't say thank you to me. Well, I wasn't actually bringing cookies to be nice. I was bringing cookies to feel validated that I'm a nice person. And so now I'm upset because my expectation that I hadn't acknowledged to myself was there for the motive that I was actually doing it wasn't met. And so now I'm angry, upset, and offended because how rude they didn't say thank you. When really, if it was a gift, it shouldn't bother me if they didn't say thank you, because that wasn't the point of what I was doing. And so this concept of noticing your reactions to things and getting honest with yourself about what you're really doing and what you're really up to will help give you so much more light and freedom in life, and it's going to help you affect the outcome. Because when you can be honest with yourself and say, you know what, I know I was pretending or portraying or believed that I was doing it for this motive, but really I had this ulterior motive. And now that I recognize that, I see how my outcome turned out the way it did. But that gives you the power to then be able to change it, to change your motive, or in the very least own your motive, so that when you get an outcome, you can accept the outcome and understand why it was there, versus feeling mystified that like whatever you're doing is just not working. So that is my story of the invisible poisonous spiders, and I hope you found that helpful. If you did, go ahead and shoot on down there and give it a like and subscribe to my channel, because every week I'm going to be putting out content like this to help people like you have light, love, and joy in your journey. Take care.